next up, we have Alex Muir of CopperCorp. They're working on a project in Tasmania. So, Alex, I'm really looking forward to an update because you've just recently been to the project and curious to hear what's going on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi there, everyone. Thank you, Kai, for allowing CopperCorp to be here at this show and to present. So CopperCorp, it's a relatively new story. We just IPO'd in January. One of the first questions I always ask people is, do you know anything about Tasmania? And it's surprising, about a third of people are geographically challenged when it comes to locating Tasmania on a map. It's not in Africa. It's part of Australia, so it's its own state. So that is one of the interesting things I've learned so far working with this company is kind of exposing Tasmania from the little corner it's hidden on the planet. So we're located in Western Tasmania. These are some of the points that I'll go over through the presentation. We have two main projects, the AMC project and the Skyline project. It makes up about 1,400 square kilometers up in the west. Just to give you some perspective, that's 2% of the land in Tasmania. Tasmania is 65,000 square kilometers. So we have a really substantial, dominant package up in Western Tasmania. Our flagship is Alpine. It's a previously drilled prospect back in 2007. The ground was picked up by two Australians, Sean Westbrook and Sam Garrett. And now you may ask, why does a Canadian-listed company holding a Tasmanian asset? Doug Kerwin, who's an Ivanhoe geologist, he was down at Savage River doing some work down there, and he saw all these copper showings and got together with Sam and Sean. They picked up a couple of the properties. They brought it to a guy in Singapore who called some guys in Vancouver, got Ross Beatty involved, got Craig Roberts involved, John Robbins got involved. So it just kind of snowballed into what it is today. So over the course of 14 months, we raised about $14 million and IPO'd in January. As you can see, we're well financed, $7.2 million. We're in a safe jurisdiction. It's 100% renewable energy there. It's all wind and power, or wind and hydroelectric. 35% controlled stock. It's a welcoming jurisdiction, and Tasmania depends on the mineral resource industry. It makes up more than 60% of the exports. So I'll go over the cap table quickly. We have 66 million shares. Out of that, about 30 million are free trading. The rest are still in escrow. Our market cap is about 8.5 million. Our enterprise value is anywhere between negative $1 million and $2 million these days, just given the current circumstances. When we IPO'd, we had about 10.2 million in January. We're sitting at about 7.2 right now. So we have a very low burn rate at the moment, and we're being very prudent given the current market conditions. But that doesn't mean we're not drilling. We're pushing forward with our programs. We've got a drill going at Alpine, and then as I'll talk about later, we got another program starting up at Dora. We have some warrants. Some are expiring tomorrow. I doubt they'll get exercised, so those will expire. So our team, Steve, who couldn't be here today, he has over 30 years experience in the mining industry. He used to work for K2 Gold. He's got plenty of experience at Rio Tinto and BHP. Sean Westbrook is our VPX. He's a Tasmanian born, so he knows the region quite well. Rob's our CFO. Craig Roberts, he's taken a much more kind of deeper role with the board since he's left Newfound Gold. He's quite excited about the project. Sam Garrett is also an Australian. He was one of the founders. Aaron Kay is our largest shareholder and sits on the board. As I mentioned, Doug is one of the senior technical advisors. John is also an advisor who's part of Discovery Group, and Leo Hathaway rounds it out as well. So a little bit about Tasmania. It has quite a prolific mining history. Dates back 150 years. One of the most famous mines is the Mount Lyell copper mine. It's been in operation off and on for over 100 years. It's produced about 3 million contained tons of copper. And as you can see, it's multi-commodity. There's tin, nickel, copper, gold, zinc, lead. So for CopperCorp, the primary thing we're looking for obviously is copper, but there's the potential for discoveries of other minerals in this region. And then also too, there's also all the infrastructure as well nearby. We're pretty close to a wind farm and a hydroelectric dam, and all the infrastructure is in place in this pocket of the region. So at this point, it just comes down to the science and the economics of the deposit if we were to discover something. So talk about the AMC project, more specifically the Alpine prospect. So this is one of the original tenements. We're currently drilling Alpine at the moment. It's got several other prospects along this belt, so we're kind of just following this trend at the moment. Only about 10,000 meters of drilling has been conducted so far, so we've only just scratched the surface here at the Alpine prospect. So the zone that we've been drilling is the Alpine Stellar Zone. So it was originally drilled back in 2007 by a company called Stellar Resources. They put about 20 holes into the ground with some results of 28 meters of 1%, 80 meters of over 0.5%, all within 300 meters from surface. What we've done is we've gone a little bit longer along strike and also deeper as well. What we've started to notice is that we're hitting higher grades the deeper we go. And the goal for this particular deposit is looking at a potential underground bulk tonnage style mine. So these are some of our results so far. The last hole was 33 and 34, and the interesting thing about that is we ended both those holes in mineralization. So one was due to a technical area, the other one was to do with just the lithology. And so as a result of this, and we also have a couple other pending assays too, one of which is hole 36, which is the deepest hole we've drilled to date, to about 600 meters. We're looking quite forward to seeing what the results are on that. And we believe that so far what we've done warrants a couple deeper holes. So we're looking into doing that at the moment. But right now we're over at the, so here's a map of all the drill collars. So as you can see, there's the Alpine West Zone where there's a similar magnetic anomaly over there. And what's also interesting about Alpine West, and I don't have it in this presentation, but it's on the presentation on the website, is the geochemistry is a bit different, or from the soil sampling. We're picking up like high readings of light rare earths, and the copper and the gold showings are much higher over there. And this is indicative of the style of deposit that we think it is, that we think it's an IOCG. We're not 100% on that. There's some other features that may or may not, confirm that. But we've just completed hole 37. We're on hole 38. We're gonna stop the drilling there and see what we get back from there. That's about 500 meters from the stellar zone. So far, what we've seen from the core is looking pretty good. We've already picked up some chalcopyrite on that visually. And yeah, so we're going to continue going along, seeking, or we're going to repost the data basically here at Alpine. And then following, we have another project, Skyline. This one, our technical team is quite excited about. So this tenement is just south of the Henty gold mine and just north of the Mount Lyell copper mine that I previously mentioned. And as you can see, there's 4 zones. There's Salina, Dora, Sedgwick, and Linda. And our high priority target right now is the Dora zone. There's some high grade rock chip samples, as you'll see here on the next slide. It includes 3.2% copper, 47 grams a ton gold. It's got copper, gold, zinc, lead, silver. And the interesting thing too about this particular prospect, it's never been drilled. So we're drilling this in January. We're getting the permitting done. The Mineral Resource Tasmania is granting us $70,000 for 2 holes there. So one of the interesting things about working in Tasmania, any new prospect you have down there, they'll give you a grant to drill for 1 or 2 holes. And then, so we're doing that in January. And just to summarize things, we believe we're in a Tier 1 province. We've got a dominant land package. We've got multi-discovery potential, access to renewable energy. Alpine is still open at depth and along strike. And we're also committed to ESG as well. We've started the process of establishing an ESG policy. And then, only 1% of our tenements has really been explored. So it's been relatively underexplored or not explored at all. It's an exciting opportunity, and I think at this moment in time, there's a lot of value given our cash balance at the moment. We're able to fund all throughout 2023, so we're not looking to go to the market and raise any capital at the moment. Thank you.
Well done, Alex. Do we have any questions for Alex? We got a few minutes left, and Alex, have you published what the budget is for the next year and what you're planning to do, like drilling meters and summarize that?
Yeah, we have. It's probably roughly the same as what we've done this year, about 3 to 4 million over the whole year. We'll probably have 2 drills going, so one at Alpine and also one at Dora. So the drilling costs will go up a bit. We spent quite a bit on marketing in the beginning when we're new. When you're a public company, you want to get eyeballs on the stock and get the word out there. So, that's...
Okay. Now, this is going to sound like a moronic question, okay? And probably labeling myself here as well. But Tasmania, if I look at it, does it follow the Australian mining code, or is it independent from it?
The JORC mining code?
Yeah, like the Australian in general, like when it comes to tenements and all that, because it comes to the black box of Tasmania.
So, Tim, who's our project geo, he follows the JORC code, and I guess that's an ASX requirement. With TSX, it's 43101 more so.
No, but mining code in terms of like how to issue like tenements and things like. I think it's like Australia. It's part of Australia. So I'm assuming that's what I mean. Like it's a bit of a moronic question, but for me, it's a black box question.
Yeah, it goes to MRT, and then they do an auction. They auction it off.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, because I've never been. Like for me, again, it's one of those black box countries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
see this.
Oh, no, that's what I figured. So it's part of it, it follows it, right? That's why I labeled myself. But it was a question when I was looking at your last slide. It's like, it should, but I better ask.
Yeah.
Right? So, you've been there. For me, it's also, like, again, I've never been to Tasmania. Like, how densely populated is, like, the area you're working in? So what's the sort of, like, the social environment?
So there's about 500,000 people that live there. They mostly live in the eastern side in Hobart and Launceston. And on the eastern side, it's kind of like the southern UK, rolling hills, dairy farms. Then you go to the west, it's mountainous jungle. It's thick too. You go off the side of the highway and you can't even penetrate it. It's that thick. So I think that's part of the reason why it's been underexplored, is just in terms of accessibility. Like with Skyline, we have to helicopter in the drill there. And once you have something of merit, they allow you to build an access road into the property.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like in terms of workers, like what's the closest town?
Zeehan and Queenstown. Yeah, and they're Queenstown's the biggest town in the region. It's about 2,500 people. In that pocket of Western Tasmania, there's probably about 20,000 total. Zeehan itself right now, it's fully populated. So the Avebury nickel mine just went back into production, and Mallee Resources came down and rented all the houses for their workers. So it's a good problem to have down there. The people are very welcoming. They get it. It's their livelihoods down there in the west, and we're happy to be there.
Fantastic. Yeah, and your valuation is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like negative EV. I haven't seen that in a while. Yeah. So fantastic. Yeah. Awesome. Alex, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us here in Frankfurt, and all the best. And your presentation will be available online as well. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you.
Fantastic.